Hi, this is Steve Munroe wishing you festive greetings and Happy New Year. Welcome to my weekly show for DRagonFLIX. This week I'm looking back at the top 10 major films I watched at the cinemas in 2019. Mainly blockbuster movies and a Netflix epic. The films are not in any particular order of preference, but just to make it more interesting, we'll count them down from numbers 10 to 1. So, starting at number 10, we have Men in Black International, an American science fiction action comedy film directed by F. Gary Gray. It's a spin-off of the Men in Black series, and the film stars Chris Hemsworth and Tessa Thompson, whilst Emma Thompson reprises her role from the third film, and Tim Blaney returns to voice Frank the Pug from the first two movies. Also, Liam Neeson gives a good performance as High T. The basic plot of the movie is the Men in Black have expanded to cover the globe, but so have the villains of the universe. To keep everyone safe, decorated Agent H and determined Rookie M join forces, an unlikely pairing that might just work. When aliens that can take the form of any human arrive on Earth, H and M embark on a globe-trotting adventure to save the agency and ultimately the world from their mischievous plans. I enjoyed the original films. They were refreshing and well paced, whilst this offering is another attempt to keep the franchise growing and make more money for the studios without much consideration for the viewing public. But on the positive side, Chris Hemsworth and Tessa Thompson work well together and have good chemistry on screen, and technically special effects and cinematography are visually very impressive at the cinema. Plenty of action sequences keeps you interested whilst following the basic plot, but in the end you're left with a pretty predictable ending, an outcome for our intrepid heroes, and the mole in MIB is finally revealed. But it was pretty obvious from the outcome what was going to happen. Next in, at number 9, we have Godzilla, King of the Monsters. This is an American monster film directed by Michael Dougherty and a sequel to Godzilla of 2014. It's the 35th film in the Godzilla franchise, the third film in Legendary's Monsterverse, and the third Godzilla film to be completely produced by a Hollywood studio. The film stars Kyle Chandler and Vera Farmiga. The basic plot is members of the cryptozoological agency Monarch face off against a battery of god-sized monsters, including the mighty Godzilla, who collides with Mothra, Rodan, and his ultimate nemesis, the three-headed king Ghidorah. When these ancient superspecies, thought to be mere myths, rise again, they all vie for supremacy, leaving humanity's very existence hanging in the balance. If you like your monsters big and loud, then you'll enjoy this. Visually stunning and great special effects made this an enjoyable romp at the cinema. Although again, another remake, so nothing new from a plot point of view or any attempt to surprise us with anything new. Next cinema trip I made was to see our number 8 in the list, which was Spider-Man: Far From Home. This was an American superhero film based on the Marvel Comics character Spider-Man, co-produced by Columbia Pictures and Marvel Studios, and directed by John Watts. It is the sequel to Spider-Man: Homecoming of 2017 and the 23rd film in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. The main plot is Peter Parker's relaxing European vacation takes an unexpected turn when Nick Fury shows up in his hotel room to recruit him for a mission. The world is in danger as 4 massive elemental creatures, each representing earth, air, water and fire, emerge from a hole torn in the universe. Parker soon finds himself donning the Spider-Man suit to help Fury and fellow superhero Mysterio stop the evil entities from wreaking havoc across the continent. I'm a big fan of the Marvel Cinematic Universe, but this didn't grab me the same as when we have the full Avengers team in action. I accept this is the start of the next phase, and we'll see how they develop in the coming years with future releases. The familiar cast are fine in what they do, And again, as in most of the films on this list, the cinematography and special effects are just superb, and the London Bridge's action sequence and subsequent illusions are particularly notable. In at number 7 is Dark Phoenix, also marketed as X-Men Dark Phoenix. This is a 2019 American superhero film based on the Marvel Comics X-Men characters. It is the 12th installment of the X-Men film series and the sequel to 2016's X-Men Apocalypse. It is directed by Simon Kinberg and stars Sophie Turner as Jean Grey and an ensemble cast reprising many of their roles from previous X-Men films. The basic plot is the X-Men face their most formidable and powerful foe when one of their own, Jean Grey, starts to spiral out of control. During a rescue mission in outer space, Jean is nearly killed when she's hit by a mysterious cosmic force. Once she returns home, this force not only makes her infinitely more powerful, but far more unstable. The X-Men must now band together to save her soul and battle aliens that want to use Grey's new abilities to rule the galaxy. Well, it's been a good year for powerful women in the sci-fi fantasy world, and this is no exception. From Rey in Star Wars, Carol Danvers in Captain Marvel, and Jean Grey, we are relying on women to save us from the eternal battle of good versus evil, and that's not a bad thing. And again, it will be interesting to see where the X-Men franchise takes us, although do feel it has probably run its course. Next viewing at my local cinema was our number 6 on our list, and that was Terminator Dark Fate. This is a 2019 American science fiction action film directed by Tim Miller. It's the 6th installment in the Terminator franchise and acts as a direct sequel to The Terminator of 1984 and Terminator 2 Judgment Day of 1991, and stars Arnold Schwarzenegger and Linda Hamilton as Sarah Connor. The plot for this one is complicated, so in brief, in 1998, 3 years after Mexico City, a newly modified liquid Terminator, the Rev 9 model, arrives from the future to kill a young factory worker named Danny Ramos. Also sent back in time is Grace, a hybrid cyborg human who must protect Ramos from the seemingly indestructible robotic assassin. But the two women soon find some much needed help from a pair of unsuspected allies, seasoned warrior Sarah Connor and the T-800 Terminator. It's good to see Linda Hamilton back, and another powerful leading lady on our screens this year, and enjoyed this interpretation and felt it was much closer to the two originals and tied in nicely to the Terminator franchise. There's tons of wild action scenes and clever use of CGI and special effects made this a real fun night out in the cinema, and as a fan of the original Terminator and T2, felt this was much better than the recent installments of the franchise. Number 5 is Captain Marvel. Produced by Marvel Studios and distributed by Walt Disney Studio Motion Pictures. It is the 21st film in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. The film is written and directed by Anna Boden and Ryan Fleck. Brie Larson stars as Carol Danvers alongside Samuel L. Jackson, Ben Mendelsohn, Clark Gregg, Jude Law, and others in a big ensemble cast. The basic plot in a pre-seed version is Captain Marvel is an extraterrestrial Kree warrior who finds herself caught in the middle of an intergalactical battle between her people and the Skrulls. Living on Earth in 1995, she keeps having recurring memories of another life as US Air Force pilot Carol Danvers. With help from Nick Fury, Captain Marvel tries to uncover the secrets of her past, while harnessing her special superpowers to end the war with the evil Skrulls, and concludes with Carol Danvers departing to help the Skrulls find a new homeworld, leaving Fury a modified pager to contact her in an emergency. Meanwhile, Fury drafts an initiative to locate heroes like Danvers, naming it after her Air Force call sign, Avenger. In a mid-credits scene set in 2018, the activated pager is being monitored by the Avengers when Danvers appears. And in a post-credits scene, Goose the cat climbs onto Fury's desk and regurgitates the Tesseract. Well, this was a fun action movie from Marvel that introduces us to a new superhero, Captain Marvel, played by Brie Larson. Lots of good action sequences and great special effects made this a good watch in the cinema. And as it's one of Marvel's origin stories, we'll see how this character develops when she's teamed up with the Avengers in future projects. The cinematography is really impressive, and the regular cast of previous Marvel characters add a sense of humour, which is witty and manages to make you laugh. All in all, a good fun action movie. Number 4 is Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. This is a 2019 comedy drama film written and directed by Quentin Tarantino. It features a large ensemble cast led by Leonardo DiCaprio, Brad Pitt, Margot Robbie and Al Pacino. Set in 1969 Los Angeles, the film follows an actor and his stunt double as they navigate the changing film industry and features multiple storylines in a modern fairy tale tribute to the final moments of Hollywood's golden age. So, if you are of a certain age and aware of the Manson family and Sharon Tate murders backstory, then you can see the wit and amusement with Tarantino's take and happier outcome of the film's climactic ending. Some very powerful and violent scenes have the usual Tarantino hallmark, and lots of good cameo performances from his usual motley crew of familiar actors keep the project at a nice pace, and a great soundtrack and costumes give the film a nice flavour of the different decades contained within the storyline. As with most of his movies, Tarantino switches from many different sequences to a conclusion in his own inimitable style. And DiCaprio and Brad Pitt will be nominated for their performances once the award season gets underway. Pretty sure of that. So we've reached the top 3, and in at number 3 is The Irishman, also titled on screen as I Heard You Paint Houses. This is a 2019 American epic crime film directed and produced by Martin Scorsese, and written by Steven Zalian, based on the 2004 book I Heard You Paint Houses by Charles Brandt. It stars Robert De Niro, Al Pacino and Joe Pesci, with Ray Romano, Bobby Cannavale, Anna Paquin, Stephen Graham, Stephanie Kurtzuber, Jesse Plemons and Harvey Keitel in supporting roles. The film follows Frank Sheeran, De Niro, a truck driver who becomes a hitman involved with mobster Russell Bufalino, Pesci, and his crime family, including his time working for the powerful teamster Jimmy Hoffa, played by Al Pacino. The film begins as we see in a nursing home in his wheelchair Frank Sheeran, an elderly World War II veteran recounting his time as a mafia hitman. Point to note, as this film covers different decades, that Martin Scorsese spent half the alleged budget on special effects in the form of de-aging the 3 leading protagonists, which is incredibly effective once your eye is accustomed to the central characters and does not distract from their performances. It's a very long film, coming in at over 3.5 hours, so admit it was a bit of a struggle to watch in the cinema, but as I have Netflix at home, was able to watch again at my own pace, with the use of the pause button when in need of a toilet break. As usual, strong direction from Martin Scorsese, and will be Oscar nominated I expect in many departments, and the usual standout performances from De Niro and Pacino will be noted, but it's Joe Pesci for me who should win Best Supporting Actor, as he is just superb. Great performance. So, number 2 on our list is The Joker. This is a 2019 American psychological thriller film, directed and produced by Todd Phillips, who co-wrote the screenplay with Scott Silver. The film, based on DC Comics characters, stars Joaquin Phoenix as the Joker. The basic analysis of the storyline states, forever alone in a crowd, failed comedian Arthur Fleck seeks connection as he walks the streets of Gotham City. Arthur wears 2 masks, the one he paints for his day job as a clown, and the guise he projects in a futile attempt to feel like he's part of the world around him. Isolated, bullied and disregarded by society, Fleck begins a slow descent into madness as he transforms into the criminal mastermind known as the Joker. There have been many versions and portrayals of the Joker in countless adaptations of Batman films and TV shows, which have been admirable, amusing, and downright crazy. But this version gives us a powerful insight into his character's development and a glimpse of his tortured soul. I enjoyed this film a lot. Very dark and moody, and beautifully edited. And I think Joaquin Phoenix's performance could be up for Best Actor at this year's Oscars. So, on to number 1. Well, it's a huge blockbuster. In fact, the biggest box office movie ever made, not taking inflation into account. And one of only 5 movies to break the $2 billion box office tag. No surprise then, it's Avengers EndGame. This is a 2019 American superhero film based on the Marvel Comics superhero team The Avengers, produced by Marvel Studios and distributed by Walt Disney Studios Motion Pictures. It is the sequel to 2012's The Avengers, 2015's The Avengers Age of Ultron, and 2018 Avengers Infinity War, and the 22nd film in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. It was directed by Anthony and Joe Russo, and features an ensemble cast including Robert Downey Jr., Chris Evans, Mark Ruffalo, Chris Hemsworth, Scarlett Johansson, Jeremy Renner, Don Cheadle, Paul Rudd, Brie Larson, Karen Gillan, Benedict Wong, Jon Favreau, Bradley Cooper, Gwyneth Paltrow, and Josh Brolin. Also, many other actors, too many to mention here, also reprieve their roles from the Avengers movies, and also the standalone individual films which make up the Marvel Universe. The plot is way too long and complex to sum up if you haven't seen any of the previous 21 films. So just to say, in this film, the surviving members of the Avengers and their allies attempt to reverse the damage caused by Thanos in Infinity War, after a click of a finger in possession of the Infinity Gauntlet wiped out half of the universe. Well, we finally get to see the ultimate conclusion of this monster project called the Marvel Cinematic Universe. And it was not a letdown. My personal favourite film of this franchise, Avengers Infinity War, set up the conclusion beautifully. And so, as in all epic movies, good versus evil was on the line again, as I purchased my ticket and slid comfortably into my seat and watched. Lots of money spent and some incredibly talented people, both sides of the camera, make for a fabulous and epic movie. Great soundtrack, editing, special effects and CGI, backed up with some poignant moving acting scenes, give this a feel of what a blockbuster movie is all about. And a moving, cheering, sobbing audience running the gambit of emotions made this a cracking night out in the cinema. Looking forward to see what's next in the Marvel world. Well, that just about wraps it up for this week. Hope you've had a chance to see all these movies, and obviously a huge year for Disney, Marvel and the major studios. Will be interesting to see what 2020 has in store. So, in the meantime, happy film viewing and see you next time.
Budget Studios brings you a new concept in movie watching on the small screen, containing some of the world's most interesting films by cinema's biggest talent, which will be shown and added to on a monthly basis.